What's up, Wrestle Scope Nation? And hold on, before you even think about scrolling past this video, I need you to hear this bombshell that just dropped and has the entire wrestling world in absolute chaos right now. We are talking about a nuclear threat from SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis that could destroy Cody Rhodes' championship reign before WrestleMania season even gets into full gear. This isn't speculation, this isn't rumor, this is a direct warning that has every single wrestling fan asking the same question. Has WWE officially lost their mind? I'm about to break down the most controversial ultimatum in recent WWE history, and trust me when I tell you, by the end of this video, you're going to be furious at what's happening behind the scenes. So smash that like button right now, because this situation is about to get very ugly very fast. Hello viewers, if you're new here, please don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button for daily updates on WWE Raw. The bombshell revelation. Alright, let me set the stage for what went down that has everyone talking, arguing, and absolutely losing their minds on social media right now. Picture this. Cody Rhodes, your undisputed WWE champion, the man who finished his story, the wrestler who made WWE the hottest it's been in years, is being told by Nick Aldis that if he so much as looks at Drew McIntyre the wrong way, he's losing the championship. Not through a match, not through a fair competition, through an executive decision. Let that sink in for a second. The champion, the face of Friday Night SmackDown, is being threatened with having his title stripped because management is apparently more concerned about protecting Drew McIntyre's fragile ego than they are about maintaining the integrity of the championship. And here's where it gets really interesting, folks. This ultimatum came down after weeks of Drew McIntyre making Cody's life absolutely miserable. We're talking about unprovoked attacks, interference in matches, psychological warfare, and constant disrespect toward the American Nightmare. But now, suddenly, when Cody wants to defend himself, when he wants to give Drew exactly what he's been asking for, Nick Aldis steps in and says, "Touch him and you're done." Are you kidding me right now? This is the same Nick Aldis who stood in that ring week after week, preaching about order, about respect, about maintaining the sanctity of SmackDown. But apparently that sanctity only applies when it benefits management's agenda, not when it protects the champion or serves the fans who pay their hard-earned money to watch this product. The deeper conspiracy. Now, before half of you jump into the comments saying, "It's just storyline, bro," stop. Because what we're witnessing here is something far more calculated, far more dangerous than just a simple wrestling angle. This is about control. This is about a pattern we've seen throughout WWE history, where management uses their authority to manipulate championship reigns to fit their narrative, not the story the fans actually want to see. Think about it logically for just one moment. Drew McIntyre has been antagonizing Cody Rhodes for months. He cost him matches, he's attacked him from behind, he's done everything in his power to get under the champion's skin. In any normal competitive environment, in any legitimate sport, the person being harassed would have every right to defend themselves without fear of punishment. But in Nick Aldis' SmackDown, in this twisted version of professional wrestling, the victim gets punished while the aggressor gets protected. And you want to know the worst part? The part that should have every single wrestling fan absolutely furious? This isn't even about Drew McIntyre. Drew is just a pawn in a much larger game that Nick Aldis and whoever's pulling his strings backstage are playing with Cody's championship reign. Let me break down what's really happening here, and I want you to pay close attention because this connects to some major developments that could reshape the entire WWE landscape heading into WrestleMania season. Nick Aldis has been SmackDown GM for a significant period now, and if you've been watching with even one eye open, you've noticed a pattern. Every single decision he makes seems designed to create chaos around the championship picture, while somehow maintaining this facade of being a fair authority figure. But fair authority figures don't issue ultimatums that strip champions of their right to defend themselves. Here's what I think is happening, and I want you to tell me in the comments if you agree or if I'm completely off base here. I believe Nick Aldis is being used by someone higher up the corporate ladder to destabilize Cody's reign. Why? Because Cody Rhodes as champion represents something that certain people in WWE's power structure are uncomfortable with. Cody came back to WWE and did the impossible. He turned the company's momentum around. He created moments that will be remembered for decades. He connected with the audience in ways that nobody has connected since the Attitude Era. And that kind of organic, fan-driven success, it terrifies corporate executives who want to maintain control over who gets pushed and when. The Drew McIntyre angle. Now, let's talk about Drew McIntyre for a minute, because he's not innocent in all of this, and honestly, his role in this situation is fascinating from a psychological perspective. Drew has been obsessed with Cody Rhodes ever since the American Nightmare won that championship at WrestleMania, and I get it. Drew feels like he should have been the one to finish that story. He feels like his contributions to WWE during the pandemic era when he was carrying the company on his back with no fans in the building have been overlooked and underappreciated. But here's the problem with Drew's logic, and why his actions over the past few months have been absolutely inexcusable. You don't earn respect by attacking people from behind. You don't prove your championship material by refusing to face someone one-on-one like a man. Drew McIntyre has become the very thing he once stood against. Remember when he came back to WWE as the Scottish warrior, talking about honor and fighting spirit? What happened to that Drew McIntyre? That man seems to have been replaced by a bitter, jealous, cowardly version who hides behind management's protection while taking cheap shots at the champion. And now, Nick Aldis is rewarding this behavior by essentially giving Drew McIntyre diplomatic immunity. Drew can do whatever he wants, attack whenever he feels like it, and if Cody dares to fight back, stripped of the title. Are you kidding me right now? Do you see how this completely undermines everything WWE claims to stand for? This isn't about protecting Drew from getting hurt. This isn't about maintaining order on SmackDown. This is about punishing Cody Rhodes for being too successful, too popular, and too independent for management's liking. Historical context and patterns. For those of you who've been watching wrestling for more than just a couple years, this situation feels disturbingly familiar, because this is exactly the kind of corporate manipulation we've seen WWE pull time and again throughout their history. Remember when Daniel Bryan was getting over organically with the fans and management did everything in their power to derail his momentum? Remember when they tried to position Batista as the WrestleMania main event hero and the entire audience was chanting for Bryan? It took a revolution from the fans to force WWE's hand. Or how about CM Punk's championship reign? Here was a guy who was connecting with audiences in ways the company hadn't seen in years, and what did management do? They constantly undermined him, treated his reign as secondary to part-time stars, and eventually pushed him out of the company entirely. The pattern is clear, folks. When a wrestler gets over on their own terms, when they connect with fans in an organic way that doesn't fit WWE's predetermined narrative, management panics. They can't control it, so they try to destroy it. And that's exactly what's happening with Cody Rhodes right now. Nick Aldis' ultimatum isn't about protecting Drew McIntyre. It's about putting Cody in an impossible situation where he either has to surrender his dignity and allow himself to be bullied, or fight back and lose the championship that he earned in front of the entire world. It's a no-win scenario designed to break Cody's spirit and remind him who really holds the power in WWE. And if you're not absolutely furious about this manipulation, then you're not paying attention. The fan reaction and social media explosion. The wrestling community has exploded over this situation, and I've been reading through thousands of comments, tweets, and posts across every social media platform trying to gauge how fans are reacting to this absolute disaster of a decision by Nick Aldis. And you know what? About 85% of wrestling fans are on the same page. They recognize this for what it is, a blatant abuse of authority designed to manipulate the championship picture heading into the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season. But here's where it gets interesting, and why I think WWE might actually be playing 4D chess with all of us right now. What if, and hear me out on this, what if this entire situation, the ultimatum, the tension, the impossible choice, is all designed to generate exactly this kind of outrage? What if WWE wants us angry, wants us talking, wants us debating and arguing in the comment section of videos just like this one? Because let's be honest, we're all talking about SmackDown right now. We're all invested in what happens next with Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, and Nick Aldis. Love it or hate it, WWE has created a situation that has the entire wrestling world's attention focused on Friday nights. But that still doesn't make it right. Just because something generates buzz doesn't mean it's good for the product long term. Because if WWE actually goes through with stripping Cody of the championship without him losing it in a fair fight, they will damage the credibility of that title in ways that might take years to repair. Championships are supposed to mean something. They're supposed to represent being the absolute best in your division. How can we take the WWE Championship seriously if it can just be taken away because a wrestler defended themselves against an unprovoked attack? The possible outcomes. So where does this situation go from here? Let me break down the possible scenarios, and I want you to tell me in the comments which one you think is most likely to happen. Scenario 1. Cody calls the bluff. In this scenario, Cody Rhodes decides he's had enough of Nick Aldis' threats and Drew McIntyre's attacks. The next time Drew comes for him, Cody unleashes everything he's been holding back. Crossroads on the announce table, disaster kicks through the barricade. He makes Drew regret ever stepping to the American Nightmare. And when Nick Aldis threatens to strip him of the title, Cody looks him dead in the eye and says, "Do it, take the championship. But you and I both know that I'm still the best wrestler on this brand, and these fans will never accept anyone else as the real champion." This would be the ultimate power move by Cody. It would show that he can't be bullied or manipulated. But, and this is a big but, it would also throw SmackDown into chaos heading into the Royal Rumble. Without a clear champion, how would WWE book the Rumble Winners WrestleMania match? Scenario 2. Corporate override. What if someone above Nick Aldis steps in? What if Triple H as WWE's chief content officer, or even Nick Khan from the business side, recognizes that Aldis has overstepped his authority and is putting the entire SmackDown brand at risk? In this scenario, we might see a public reversal of the ultimatum, possibly even leading to Nick Aldis being removed as general manager, or at least having his power significantly reduced. This would preserve Cody's championship reign while also giving WWE an out from this ridiculous situation they've created. The downside? It would make Nick Aldis look incredibly weak as an authority figure, and it might undermine the entire concept of having brand-specific general managers if their decisions can just be overturned whenever corporate disagrees. Scenario 3. The setup.
Here's a scenario I think is most likely, and it's the one that makes me both excited and nervous about where the storyline is heading. What if this entire situation, the ultimatum, the tension, and your possible choice, is all building toward Drew McIntyre making one final, devastating attack on Cody Rhodes? An attack so brutal, so beyond the pale that Cody has no choice but to respond with equal force. And in that moment, when Cody finally snaps and gives Drew the beating he deserves, Nick Aldis appears to strip him of the championship. But then we discover this was all part of a larger conspiracy involving Drew McIntyre, Nick Aldis, and possibly other WWE superstars who are jealous of Cody's success. This would set up a massive storyline heading into WrestleMania where Cody has to fight his way back to the championship while exposing the corruption within WWE management. It would be epic, it would be compelling, and it would give us that satisfying payoff where Cody ultimately overcomes the conspiracy and proves he's the rightful champion. But WWE would have to execute this perfectly. One wrong move, one poorly booked segment, and the entire thing falls apart and leaves fans feeling betrayed and disappointed. The bigger picture. Let's zoom out for a moment and look at what this situation means for WWE as a whole, because the implications go far beyond just one championship reign or one storyline.